So it looks like, based on a Fox News Decision Desk projection, Democrats will possibly maintain continued control of the Senate. And all this, despite Democrats' outrageously wasteful spending being one of the dominant contributors to the country's red-hot inflation rate, the president continued to double down on his highly criticized economic policy. Now, you all know the one that I'm talking about. The economic policy that has put so many American families in a precariously tight financial position, that has wiped out savings accounts, 401k portfolio balances, and pushed many to live paycheck to paycheck and are on the verge of homelessness and starvation. So Democrats now hold 50 seats compared to the 49 seats held by Republicans. And there's just one seat left to be decided on in Georgia, where a runoff election will be held between Republican Herschel Walker and Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock on December 6th. And speaking of Herschel Walker, I really wish he would stop sending me text messages. I don't even know how the hell he got my phone number. Here, take a look at this. He sent me a text with a picture of him standing next to Vince Dooley. So anyway, even if Herschel Walker were to win in Georgia, Democrats would still have control with Vice President Kamala Harris's tie-breaking vote. And following Democrats' self-proclaimed successful midterm elections, President Biden praised his administration's economic agenda during a speech Thursday, ensuring that voters will start to see investments being made that will take some time for Americans to reap the benefits of. While some Republicans' reactions to Biden's claims argue that the administration's agenda and economic policy are purely insane. So what do you all think? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Okay, so despite Democrats' outrageously wasteful spending being one of the dominant contributors to the country's red-hot inflation rate, the president continued to double down on his highly criticized economic policy. The same reckless and self-serving spending which was not needed, and let me stress this again, folks, that was not needed and was ultimately hurtful to the economy as a whole. These morons are running around talking about infrastructure, and when the reality is, spending that amount of money in an inflationary cycle is only going to make building products and building materials more expensive for every other American, point blank. So why would anybody continue to vote for this crap? Oh, I know why. It's because they have been and are continuing to be tricked, either because they don't know any better or because they want to be tricked and then see how the error of their ways brings further destruction to their doorstep, all the while pretending to carry out this false narrative that a red wave is not the answer and would be a bad thing if it happened. Perhaps even following generational mistakes of voting for the same crap and same nonsense that your mama voted for. And if asked why you did such a thing, the answer would probably be, I don't know. We've just always voted Democrat. Come on, people. Vote with your head, not your heart. They are lying to you, and I just hope one day you wake up to see it before it's too late. Now, let's talk more about this so-called economic policy. The same economic policy where, for example, in cities like Phoenix and Atlanta have been seeing the highest inflation amongst U.S. cities. So this makes me wonder, let's say if they told you that voting for them would bring higher inflation and make it tougher for you and your family to survive and get by day to day and put money away in savings and possibly build investments and have a retirement plan and the ability to invest in real estate with home prices and mortgage interest rates that people could actually afford, would you still vote for them? No, I didn't think so. Okay, well, I know what you're going to say. Kevin, they never said that. And yeah, they never would. But the point is, they never said that they would bring record high inflation and drive up interest rates, with Jerome Powell choking the life out of so many families' budgets, meanwhile taking our money and sending billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. They never said that. So, okay, you're right. They never said that and they never will. But I will say this. Actions speak louder than words, and they are literally screaming at you every single day that this is what they're doing. And they're doing it through their own actions, and yet you continue to cast ballots for it to happen more and more and more.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Young voters' participation was up. Why? Well, it's plain and simple because they're being tricked into believing the lies and are allowing themselves to be brainwashed by the mainstream media and social media and falling in line with the rhetoric and agenda, which have been enticed by the dangling carrot of student loan forgiveness, which is silly. Tell me, what good will this measly few $1,000s of forgiveness they give you be if they turn right around and crank up interest rates to the moon? Have you thought about that? It's a shell game, folks. All right, so an economics professor just warned that October's inflation victory is too early. So don't go out and start celebrating too soon just yet. Put down the bottles of Hennessy and Crown Royal Apple, whatever your taste may be. No, people, this is what some would describe as a head fake.
Every time I'm in the street, I hear men down.
So despite seeing the most recent evidence from the broadly misleading CPI report that inflation is finally beginning to show signs of slowing down in the US, we have to understand and realize and prepare for what is coming over the hill. And that is that any financial relief that Americans may have felt hinged on where they lived for the most part. And in some parts of the country, the pace of inflation was much higher than they are deceptively trying to portray as any sort of win from this administration. Several mountain states have become a hotbed for inflation, with the region, which includes Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana, reporting that prices soared 9.3% in October. The spike is even worse in certain cities. Phoenix, for instance, recorded the highest inflation rate among large cities, with prices up a stunning 12.1% last month. While that's down from a peak of 13% recorded earlier this year, that's likely little consolation to residents facing painfully high prices. So the outsized increase is at least in part to soaring real estate prices as thousands of Americans look to relocate. And in Phoenix, for instance, according to the real estate brokerage firm Redfin, the typical home sold for $430,000 in September, which is nearly 9% more than the previous year. And this red hot inflation has created severe financial pressures for most U.S. households, which are forced to pay more for everyday necessities like food and rent. The burden is disproportionately felt by low-income Americans, whose already stretched paychecks are heavily impacted by price fluctuations. And like I mentioned before, cities like Phoenix are leading the inflation charge based on this chart here. Ouch. Here, take a look at this map of the U.S. Comment down below. Share with us how your state's inflationary numbers are stacking up. It looks like for us down here in Florida, we are about middle of the road. So not great, but also not terrible. But speaking of not great and absolutely terrible, according to two sources, it has been revealed that the SEC has been investigating the bailout activities of FTX, as well as FTX.US and other battered companies for months now. And the reason being, crypto scams are on the rise, disguised as exchanges, and have been ripping off investors left and right. And the most recent ripoff is of the tune of a lot of $1 billion. Yep, that's right. SBF, or Sam Bankman-Fried, has seen his multi-billion-dollar fortune being completely wiped out in just a matter of days. So based on net worth calculations by Bloomberg, Bankman-Fried was worth about $16 billion last Monday. But as his crypto exchange FTX collapsed, the value of his assets were reduced to zero by Friday. And in what Bloomberg called one of history's greatest ever destructions of wealth. Now, it's not just his wealth that's being destroyed either. And FTX on Friday said it filed for bankruptcy, and Bankman-Fried, known as SBF now on Twitter, resigned as chief executive. CNN reported that the 30-year-old entrepreneur's net worth, which was largely tied up in digital assets, peaked at around $26 billion this spring. And over the summer, as crypto prices plummeted, Bankman-Fried emerged as a white knight for the sector, using the FTX exchange and his sister hedge fund Alameda to secure lines of credit to crypto companies like BlockFi and Voyager that were at a risk of collapsing. Now, he told Reuters in July that he and FTX still had a few $1 billion on hand to shore up other firms and help stabilize the industry. So Bankman-Fried owns about 70% of FTX's U.S. business, which the index now estimates to be essentially worthless, and his stake in online brokerage Robinhood, previously valued at more than $500 million, was removed from Bloomberg's calculations after news reports said that the stake was held through Alameda and may have been used as collateral for loans. So on Thursday, the entire staff of the FTX Future Fund publicly quit, a fund which says it has committed $160 million in grants. And in a statement, the team wrote that they have fundamental questions about the legitimacy and integrity of the business operations that were funding the FTX Foundation and the Future Fund. Wow, what a blow. Now, I'm so glad that I didn't have any of my assets tied up in this ripoff that is shaping up to look like one of the most painful Ponzi schemes in history. And I want to share that Barron's reported that Coinbase Global and Robinhood Markets have distanced themselves from the collapsing exchange FTX and its sister company run by Sam Bankman-Fried. And I am still personally investing myself through the Robinhood brokerage app platform. And I have no reason to believe at this time that my assets held with Robinhood, which is roughly about 10% of my portfolio, are at any risk whatsoever. Now, I honestly mainly use Robinhood for ease, simplicity, the ability to purchase fractional shares, invest in stable cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Ethereum, XRP. Oh, and get free stocks. So if you haven't gotten your free stock yet, click the link in the description and get yours now. However, there are reported estimates that between $1 billion and $2 billion worth of FTX customer funds have disappeared, and that SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, had a secret back door to transfer billions out. And Fortune just released a new article that said Elon Musk and Mark Cuban are letting loose on FTX's Sam Bankman-Fried. While down in South Florida, the heat to rename home arena after ending relationship with FTX. And after FTX filed for bankruptcy Friday, Fox Business said that FTX Arena, the home of the Miami Heat, will soon have a new name after the team and Miami-Dade County terminated their relationship with the cryptocurrency exchange on Friday. FTX filed for bankruptcy earlier Friday after a week of damaging blows for the exchange and what has been the crypto equivalent to a bank run. Now, it was the third largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world at the beginning of the week, and its CEO and founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, has since resigned. And the Miami Heat released a statement about the Miami-Dade County-owned arena that negotiated the naming rights to the venue, a partnership endorsement that the two sides agreed to on a 19-year, $135 million agreement back in June of 2021. With this recent tweet that read, "The reports about FTX and its affiliates are extremely disappointing, and Miami-Dade County and the Miami Heat are immediately taking action to terminate our business relationships with FTX. And we will be working together to find a new naming rights partner for the arena." Man, this is going to be a mess. But it doesn't just stop there, folks. We mustn't omit two other key players in this giant crypto Ponzi style scheme that is crumbling rapidly and destroying so many families and businesses and their wealth in the process. So Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren are two important persons of interest. Gensler, seen here under the headline, "Crypto platforms use toxic combination of trading users' funds without disclosure." And the article goes on to say that the chairman of the U.S. securities regulator said FTX was operating with a toxic combination of factors that would lead to investors getting hurt. And SEC Chair Gary Gensler compared FTX's crisis to the collapse of Terra and various other crypto platforms earlier this year. But there are a lot of questions being asked as many investors are now broke and their accounts are frozen after having lost billions of dollars collectively. And that's why so many people are asking the question of, couldn't Gary Gensler, the sheriff of Wall Street, why couldn't he rein in on Sam Bankman-Fried? And SEC Chair Gensler discusses crypto regulations following FTX collapse, which says this field is significantly non-compliant. But several cryptocurrency publications are left scratching their heads about the involvement or lack thereof by Gensler, like this one here. U.S. Congressman says SEC's Gensler allegedly had dubious ties to FTX. Quote, "The crypto community is questioning the relationship between SEC Chair Gary Gensler and FTX founder, with many labeling it as shady." From Twitter, Congressman Tom Emmer tweeted, "Interesting. Gary Gensler runs to the media while reports to my office alleging he was helping SBF and FTX work on legal loopholes to obtain a regulatory monopoly. And we're looking into this. While Elizabeth Warren says the recent crypto empire's collapse must be a wake-up call for regulators. And this, despite Warren's controversial financial ties to Sam Bankman-Fried, and many destroyed investors are demanding that Warren be exposed after being labeled an unabashed critic, whose financial ties to Bankman-Fried and his family should be something the public should know about. Folks, all I can say is stay safe and become better educated. And if something sounds like or appears to be too good to be true, then it probably is. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. You all take care, stay blessed, be safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. It's funny how views on social media for creators and channels that don't align with the agenda go down right before elections.